Hey Samuel, earlier today I saw your story uh, and I figured that you've been fasting for quite a while. And this has to do with superhuman AI or super intelligent AI. And that just got me thinking, what is it that uh, triggered you a drastic step like this? What are your concerns? Also like you to tell a bit about yourself so everyone knows what you do and some context.
Yeah, sure. That's a lot of questions. I'll just try to answer all of them. So about me, who am I? My name is Samuel Shadrach. I'm 24 years old. I grew up in Delhi, India. I graduated from IIT Delhi in 2023 with a bachelor's and master's in biochemical engineering. Always been quite interested in technology. I have worked at a cryptocurrency firm. I have done like courses in AI. For instance, I did this ML safety scholars under Dan Hendricks, who's at UC Berkeley. At the time of the course, he was at UC Berkeley. Now he's doing his own thing. So that's just a background on me. What are my concerns? I think there is some chance, I mean, not small, that in the next, 5 to 10 years, we will get an AI that's better than all humans at all tasks. All the frontier AI labs, OpenAI, DeepMind, Anthropic, XAI, DeepSeek, like all of them basically at this point have their explicit goal that this is the AI they want to build. They want an AI that does everything. It should be able to make long-term plans. It should be able to execute on them. It should be, better than, best humans at physics, at, chemistry, at math, at, English, at, politics, at business, finance, trade, everything. And I think there's some chance they might actually succeed at this. The problem comes is I am more pessimistic on, what will happen next after they build this. First of all, I think the whole technical field of like how do you actually control AIs is like very nascent. It's not very well understood how you can actually control AIs, how you can give AIs goals in a way that they'll actually follow those goals, even though when they're not under your control anymore. So first of all, I think there's some chance the AI will just take over and do its own thing. It will no longer be in anyone's control. It will just have its own long-term plans. It's like it'll execute them and no human will be able to stop them. And the worst case of this sort of outcome is I think just humanity can go extinct as a result because the AI had some goal, it went and did that thing. It did not care either way. Are humans alive? Are humans dead? That is not of the concern of the AI at all. It just has its own thing it wants to do. So that is a possibility. Another possibility I think is also possible, which is okay. So let's say assume these AI labs do successfully keep this AI in control. Then that essentially means that the people who are running the lab now have all these amazing, technological powers, powers in politics, that like extreme ability to persuade, extreme ability to just run their own military on their own if they want. And you can end up with a small group of people essentially taking over the world. And I think that is also very risky in its own way. I know I'm sure like there are some people at the AI labs for whom they will think, okay, look, it will be great if we could do this. Like we had all the power. But for someone like me who's not in the side that, small group of people, for me, I'm like, that's risky and this might turn out bad for me. So I think, yeah, this sort of gamble is also not a risk people should be willing to take. I also think there's just some unknown, like some third outcome that can happen, some not the extinction thing I said, the AI takeover thing, not people taking over, but some other third outcome can also come out of this. Like, I'm not like a perfect forecaster who knows exactly how the future will go. So something else could also happen. And that could again be good, it could be bad. I can't forecast it. All in all, I think the way we're currently going about this, if we build super intelligence in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, it's just going to be very risky for the world. And I think it's a bad idea for humanity to pursue this.
What do you think is the way around it? If it's not building super intelligence, what do you foresee? What else is the other option?
At least in the near term, by near term, I mean literally just even in the next 5 years, if we could get sufficiently large number of people on board that this is dangerous to build, you could end up with just regulations. This will be mainly in the US and in China, banning the creation of superintelligence, where just people decide that, okay, we are not going to allow the creation of superintelligence. The AI you have right now is fine, probably, whatever. GPT-5 is not like some existential threat, it's probably not, but we will not allow anyone to try to build superintelligence and like actually enforce that.
Okay, so let's say, and I'll get back to what you said. It might kill humans. There might be a third possible thing that none of us understand yet. And I think about all of these concerns as well. What bothers me the most is if we don't understand it enough and we don't know what might happen, specifically the third scenario. For one and two, we all talk about. But unless we do it, how are we going to find out if and what is that going to be?
Oh.
And if we stop altogether, we'll never know, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody on this planet, including the people literally building the AI, have like a 100% clear-cut plan of look after we deploy the superintelligence, this is what's going to happen to the world. I think nobody knows. There are people at the AI labs themselves, Sam Altman, Mr. Sabis, Shane Legg, Yasser Skiver, Mariam, all of them are openly at this point admitting, look, there's a risk that the whole world might end as a result of what we're doing. So it's like they themselves cannot guarantee that this is a safe thing to do. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for, here is a 100% clear, this is what is going to happen. I think nobody on Earth actually has that plan. The problem is just because nobody knows doesn't mean you continue ahead on it. Like you just have to, like it's a judgment call, right? Some chance it could go well, some, in my opinion, much higher chance it could go poorly. Based on your subjective judgment, you have to actually take a call on, okay, is this worth building? Should we allow these people to just go and build this or not?
What do you think is the way around it? If it's not building super intelligence, what do you foresee? What else is the other option?
At least in the near term, by near term, I mean literally just even in the next 5 years, if we could get sufficiently large number of people on board that this is dangerous to build, you could end up with just regulations. This will be mainly in the US and in China, banning the creation of superintelligence, where just people decide that, okay, we are not going to allow the creation of superintelligence. The AI you have right now is fine, probably, whatever. GPT-5 is not like some existential threat, it's probably not, but we will not allow anyone to try to build superintelligence and like actually enforce that.
Okay, so let's say, and I'll get back to what you said. It might kill humans. There might be a third possible thing that none of us understand yet. And I think about all of these concerns as well. What bothers me the most is if we don't understand it enough and we don't know what might happen, specifically the third scenario. For one and two, we all talk about. But unless we do it, how are we going to find out if and what is that going to be? And
Oh,
if we stop altogether, we'll never know, right?
yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody on this planet, including the people literally building the AI, have like a 100% clear-cut plan of, look, after we deploy the superintelligence, this is what's going to happen to the world. I think nobody knows. There are people at the AI labs themselves, Sam Altman, Mrs. Abis, Shane Legg, Giver, Daryamade, all of them are openly at this point admitting, look, there's a risk that the whole world might end as a result of what we're doing. So it's like they themselves cannot guarantee that this is a safe thing to do. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for, here is a 100% clear, this is what is going to happen, I think nobody on earth actually has that plan. The problem is, just because nobody knows doesn't mean you continue ahead of on it. Like, you just have to, like, it's a judgment call, right? Some chance, it could go well, some, in my opinion, much higher chance it could go poorly. Based on, your subjective judgment, you have to actually take a call on, okay, is this worth building? Should we allow these people to just go and build this or not? That's how I look at it.
Everyone listening to this might know who Sam Altman is, but maybe if you could talk a bit about other people that you named, why are they relevant?
Okay. So first of all, I actually have a bunch of short clips on my channel at this point. If you just want to see, lots of famous people agreeing that, human extinction is a possibility from superintelligence. There is also this signed statement by Center for AI Safety, which was again run by Dan Hendricks. Maybe we can put the link in the description or something. Basically, it's a huge list of people
We'll
who
do that.
signed the statement saying that, mitigating risk of human extinction from AI should be a priority, similar to nuclear war or similar to pandemics. And people who have signed this include, first of all, the heads of all the major AI labs. So in the heads of DeepMind are Shane Legg and Demis Hassabis. They have both signed. At OpenAI, it was Sam Altman and Ilya Sutskever. Both of them have signed. Actually, Ilya Sutskever has now left OpenAI because he had these safety-related disagreements with Sam Altman. So now he has now started his own AI company. Then we have Anthropic, which was started by Dario Amodei. He has also signed. We have Jeffrey Hinton, who is not a lab head, but he was an AI researcher. He has now got a Nobel Prize for his work in, kickstarting the entire field of AI research. And he's openly on record saying that there's a significant chance, humanity will go extinct. There's Joshua Bengio, who's also one of the founding AI researchers of the field. He has also signed the statement, and he's also openly warning people. You can find, you can just go on YouTube and, search all these people and just search, like Jeffrey Hinton extinction, Joshua Bengio extinction. Like, you will get these clips. They're not particularly hard to find.
Thanks a lot. I think we'll link a few of those. And particularly, I mean, these are not names as common as Jeff Bezos or at this point Sam Altman. So it's a lot for sharing about them briefly. Let's get to the bigger question now. Yeah. What point, what piece of information or what event was that triggered you and motivated you to, take such a drastic call? And yeah, I mean, tell us more about your objective with your past and, how long you plan to do it, how long has it been, and what you hope to achieve with this.
Got it. It's hard for me to point to any one particular thing because it's been like a thing that, over many years has kind of built up. So, back when I was a kid, like, in middle school, I had watched a bunch of these, movies, and back then it was just kind of like a science fiction thought experiment kind of thing. I made my internet username, Ghosts in the Code, based on this idea. Like, there was this movie, iRobo.
What was it? What was the username? Burst in the code.
Ghosts in the Code.
Was it burst in the code?
Ghosts, GHOSTS.
I think I've lost it.
Ghosts.
Ghosts in the code. Okay,
It
got
was
it.
actually based on this movie iRobo by like the
Got
Will
it.
Smith, and that was a movie about an AI takeover. So even back then I thought about it, but back then it was just more of like a thought experiment, like a science fiction thing. Like, at that time I didn't even think that, literally in my own lifetime this technology will be created. It just sounded like, okay, like a science fiction thing. The first point I think took this seriously was reading this book Superintelligence by Nick Bostrom. I generally used to read a lot about tech, like various technologies, not just AI. I would read about, quantum computing, I would read about, solar, I would read about fusion, I would read about all sorts of things. And somewhere or the other I ended up with this book in my recommendation list. This was when I was in college, I think third year of college, which would mean 2021. And I think reading that book Superintelligence by Nick Bostrom was the first time I got convinced that, okay, look, this could be an actual danger, like this could actually matter. And then I went and read the reviews of that book. People were saying, half of the material of this book is, copied from Eliezer Yudkowsky. And then I went and read a lot of writings by Eliezer.
Who's Yudowski? Who's Yudowski?
Oh, okay, good question. So Eliezer Yudkowsky, he's basically a philosopher. Around maybe the year 2000, back when he had just become an adult, he was part of this mailing list. So, I mean, even the internet was like a lot more nascent than that. Like, the internet existed, but there were, less people on it back in the year 2000 and stuff. The mailing list called Extropians, where people were discussing all these, far future technologies. Like, what if we could, like, cure aging? What if we could, upload our brain into a computer? What if we had, like cryonics, and we could just preserve minds? All sorts of these radical technologies were being discussed. And Eliezer Yudkowsky was also part of these forums. And I think reading these forums, like, that kind of shaped his childhood a bit. And he got convinced that, superintelligence is the most important technology to ever be built, and we should build it as fast as possible. And then after a year or two, he changed his mind. This is the most dangerous technology ever. We should never build it, or at least we should not build it until we know how to do it safely. And since then, he has spent the 25 years just warning the world that, okay, superintelligence is dangerous. Don't build it until you know how to do it safely. So yeah, he's one of the founding people of this entire field of AI risk, and he has written a lot about this. He recently launched a book called "If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies." You can check this out. Reading his writings convinced me even more. Then I was like, at that point, I was like, okay, look, there is some small chance, species is going extinct. This is back in maybe 2020 to 2023. Since maybe 2022 and 2025, I think the only thing has changed is now my probability that we will actually pull off creating superintelligence, that probability has gone up because I've looked at how AI is progressing. I used AI in 2022, I used it in 2023, I'm using it in 2025, and I'm seeing just the progress is just going up, 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 up. Like there's no stop. The same techniques are just consistently working. So now I'm like, look, if we just extrapolate, what happened in the last 5 years, if we extrapolate this another 5 years, we just get superintelligence, and that is the main thing that has made me more concerned now. Or from like a very theoretical thing to here's an actual practical thing, and like this is actually serious.
How long has it been since you started your fast?
Today is day 11.
And how many days till you? Yeah, how many more days left?
I mean, I have publicly committed to a minimum of 18 days. I have not committed to a maximum. Yeah.
That's quite a lot. I hope you're well. I hope you're
Yeah,
taking what's
yeah,
necessary, maybe some water or ORS.
yeah. I mean, I am managing. I do have certain symptoms and stuff, but all in all, I am managing. Yeah.
And what do you hope to achieve by the end of it? Doesn't matter minimum or maximum. I think the amount of time or days you fasted already, it's quite a big number of days already. But what's your goal here? What do you hope to achieve?
So the very ambitious goal would be if either the US government or Chinese government, people in governments actually took this seriously as a result of increased attention coming, and they would actually got convinced, look, this is dangerous and we need to do something. The slightly less ambitious goal is just more people in the public being convinced. If just even more people on Twitter repost it, or a couple of journalists repost it, and as a result more people in the public actually get convinced this is an important issue, I think that would be success for me.
Okay, that's ambitious, and I hope I really hope that you're able to do some of this. That gets me to my other question. Where do you think India stands? So, in my perspective, I think nowhere when it comes to the scale or level of technology the US has built, or what China is catching up to now, and maybe they're a little behind in terms of executing it or launching their models. I think they're doing just as good or sometimes even better, a little later, but cheaper and much better. Where do you think India stands, and how do you think that affects India, both positively and negatively? Maybe I'll condense my questions in three parts so it's easier for you. One, where does India stand? Second, how does it affect India? And third, are we even in a position to be influencers or decision makers when it comes to super intelligent AI?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I mean, where is India? I mean, we're basically behind. We're at least 1 year, probably more like 2 years behind, the leading AI models. Like if you see latest AI models, say India is producing, and latest AI models US is producing, the US models are just like, 2 years ahead. They're just better. And yeah, as a result, China's also behind, but China's like much closer than maybe 3 to 6 months behind the US in terms of capabilities. And also like the race is very fast. So when I say, 3 to 6 months, like 3 to 6 months, actually, like if you actually go try both the models, you will actually notice the difference. It's not like a inconsequential gap. Yeah, as of now, I don't personally think the Indian public has like a large amount of influence on what either US government does, or what the US AI labs do, or what Chinese government does, or the Chinese AI labs do. Like the amount of influence they have is not very large. And yeah, I don't have any specific recommendation, for Indian AI labs, Indian government. Obviously, I would say like, don't try to build super intelligence, but it anyway seems like they're not really on track to build it soon. So I don't really have particular recommendations for them.
That also, I mean, says at least to me that you really are committed to the bigger cause, not just at a country level, but for the whole world or humanity as a whole. That says a lot about you, and I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think yeah, that is true. Like I am not trying to like particularly favor the interests of US or India or China or any country. I'm just like, look, if we build a superintelligence, this affects literally every person on Earth. Like, just because you're living in India or you're living in Spain or you're living in, I don't know, Antarctica, like that doesn't mean you escape the consequences of this. So I think everyone's affected by this.
Okay, great. Do you think they are going to stop because there are good actors, there are bad actors, there are people who are investing literally trillions of dollars, not I was about to say billions, but trillions of dollars or even more than that eventually. Do you think they're going to back down just because people are concerned about it, or they're going to put their interests forward, or I don't know, some stop this race, but others go forward with it, and it turns out that they are the ones who are controlling everything, and they are the ones who are in power, which is also what's stopping others from not losing behind on this race. What do you think about that? Yeah, like to put it really simply, for example, humans had to build a car first to build a safer car. The cars we have right now with airbags and with all those safety features, there had to be a car first, and they had to forego horse carts or bullock carts to reach a point where we have cars, and then we make these cars safer. These travel much faster. The impact is greater as well, and people die in road accidents. But there had to be a car first to be able to build a safer car. And I don't know if it's the right way to think about AI or super intelligence to be specific. I think it needs to be built first, and I feel, and I could be wrong, I feel in our lifetimes we might see things go really, really wrong because of AI. Then we see these safeguards coming in place, or people trying to build or design safeguards against them. What do you feel about that? I mean, what do you think of my opinion on this?
Yeah, no, in general, for most technologies, what you're saying makes sense. Like the first version of it is built isn't necessarily, the safest version, and then people put in more work into making it safe. The problem with superintelligence is just the scale up is so fast. It's like the first time you lose control of a superintelligence, it could end the world. Like you may not get a second chance. Again, imagine, you are, Sam Altman or Daria Madai or whoever, you have this, huge GPU data center, you have these, 100,000 or maybe a million beings inside there that are, smarter than Einstein, smarter than Hitler, smarter than Stalin. They can just do everything, and they're also way faster than you. Like, you are thinking at, X speed, like maybe Sam Altman thinks so many thoughts in a day, the AIs are thinking those many thoughts, every hour or, every 10 minutes. And when you have this kind of system, like, what do you even do? Like, what is your next step? Like, anything you say to that AI, it has already thought, the 100 steps after that. So yeah, when you're dealing with that kind of power, like even one mistake can, blow up everything. I think that is not really a safe sort of environment in which you live and experiment and figure this out. That is my first concern. Sorry, I think you had a second question after this. You were talking about like, can we actually even stop people from building this or not?
Yeah.
I mean, I broadly agree with you. Like, this is not going to be easy. Like, preventing people from making this is not going to be easy. Like, it's not just about the money. Like, there are people who are in it for the money, but there are people who have very deeper ideological commitments. Like, there are people who literally want to become immortal and live forever. There are people who want, colonize galaxies. Like, there is this kind of utopian ideology that's popular in
I
Silicon
think
Valley.
I know who you are talking about.
Yeah. So there is this kind of, ideology that has become increasingly popular in Silicon Valley. So it's not even just about the money at this point. So, stopping the creation of this is going to be hard, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. I think again, the main two actors involved are, essentially the US government and the Chinese government. So either, the people inside that just get convinced by arguments, or you need to put some actual pressure and be like, look, we are going to boycott your products. We are going to, vote for a new leader if we have to. We are going to have a mass movement and protest if we have to. Like, this is not going to be easy, but also I think it is in people's rational self-interest to do this. Like, if you have actually thought about it deeply, and first of all you need to rationally think about it, like, look, okay, people are saying all sorts of things, do these things make sense? Then you have to emotionally process it, like, look, psychologically, look, there's an actual chance I might not be alive, a few years from now, my children might not grow up. Once you psychologically internalize how risky it is, then I think people can be motivated to do even extraordinary things they may not be doing otherwise. Like, I think crisis can, motivate people in a way, they would not be motivated in person.
I completely agree with that. I think it might take a huge crisis for people to realize and then act against. What do you think of America's AI action plan? Have you read it? Have you come across it?
I mean, I've seen the summary, which was broadly around, US should lead on AI, and like, US will, put sanctions on chips so that, China does not get all the GPUs and stuff. Like, I've not seen all the details, but high level, that was what it said. Yeah, in general, that gives me the sense that, okay, people in the US government have not yet internalized how dangerous, building superintelligence will be. And maybe they're not even yet convinced like superintelligence can be built. Like if AI was just a normal technology, maybe something like this even makes sense. Like, why would you not want your country to be number one on a, race for some technology? The problem is just, AI is not just yet another technology where we will yet again, race against, China, Russia, or whoever. It's so yeah, that did give me the sense that okay, like the US government as a whole is not yet on board with superintelligence is coming and it could be dangerous. So I'm still hopeful that in the next 2-3 years some change could happen on that. Especially as we see AI actually getting more capable over the next 2-3 years. Like, it's one thing to theorize, it's another thing when you actually see it in front of you. Look, AI is just doing everything. Then you might actually get convinced. So that's something I'm hoping for.
So nice to hear that. I mean, most people care about their countries or they care about their companies. So this is really refreshing to hear. Anything else you'd like to share before we end? Any parting comments?
Yeah, I mean, if you are new to this whole area, if you want to understand more about this, like there are some videos on my channel, you can always go watch them. You can, even personally message me and ask, like, if you have doubts, you can ask me. There are also, more resources which I can send you. If you're already convinced on this issue and you want to just figure out, okay, look, I'm convinced, I want to help, what can I do next? For that, I mean, I can recommend starting with just, spread the word further, maybe just make your own views public. Like, it's one thing if you say, I will reshare Samuel's, whatever channel and stuff. And it's another thing when you or yourself also have the courage to come out and say, look, I also believe this is important. And if you want to do even more than that, you can organize protests. There are things you can do. You can again reach out to me. We can discuss that further.
Okay, thanks, Amal. Really great what you're doing. I really appreciate you for taking a stand for this cause. I don't know anyone else who's done something like this. Specifically in India, I don't. So I hope people do start talking about it.